The crimson warning lights bathed the bridge of the Galactic Federation cruiser Harmony's Edge in an ominous glow. Captain Veltar's 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display showing an unidentified vessel approaching their position near the contested border zone. "Sir, the craft is broadcasting medical transponder codes," reported Lieutenant Crix from the communication station. "It appears to be a hospital ship from the Human Colonial Alliance." Veltar's mandibles clicked in irritation. Humans. The newest species to join the galactic community, and already they were causing problems with their reckless expansion into disputed territories. Their reputation as Deathworlders preceded them, beings from a planet so hostile that it had forged them into something the galaxy had never seen before. A hospital ship in a war zone? Veltar mused. How convenient. Likely carrying weapons, disguised as medical equipment. These humans think themselves clever. Commander Thale, his second-in-command, shifted nervously in his seat. "Captain, perhaps we should verify their medical status before taking action. The Galactic Medical Accord prohibits attacking legitimate hospital vessels." "Medical Accord?" Veltar scoffed. "These Deathworlders probably don't even understand proper medical protocols. I've heard their healing methods are barbaric, cutting into bodies, injecting chemicals, exposing patients to radiation. They call it medicine. The human vessel, painted white with large red crosses marking its hull, continued its steady approach. It was smaller than their cruiser but oddly robust-looking, with thick armor plating that seemed excessive for a medical ship. "Sir, they're requesting safe passage to the Kepler colony. They report a medical emergency, some kind of plague outbreak," Crix announced. Veltar's laugh was a harsh, chittering sound. "Of course they do. Scan that vessel. I want to know what weapons they're really carrying." The sensor operator, Ensign Morp, worked frantically at his console. After several minutes, he looked up with confusion written across his scaled features. "Sir, the scans are unusual. The ship appears to be exactly what it claims, a mobile hospital. But the medical equipment aboard is unlike anything in our databases. Unknown technology could be weapons technology," Veltar declared. "Prepare to disable their engines. We'll board them and expose this deception." "Captain," Thale interjected, "if they truly are medical personnel responding to an emergency, then they should have requested proper authorization before entering this sector." Veltar cut him off. "Power weapons. Target their propulsion systems." The Federation cruiser's plasma cannon swiveled toward the hospital ship. But before they could fire, the human vessel did something unexpected. It accelerated directly toward them. "Evasive maneuvers," Veltar ordered, but it was too late. The hospital ship, moving with surprising agility, had closed the distance and was now broadcasting on all frequencies. "Federation vessel, this is Dr. James Reed aboard the medical ship Nightingale. We are responding to a plague outbreak that could kill millions if not contained. Your interference is preventing us from saving lives. Stand down immediately." The voice was calm, but carried an undertone that made Veltar's skin crawl. There was something in the human's tone, not fear, but something far more dangerous. Determination. "Dr. Reed," Veltar replied mockingly, "you will submit to boarding and inspection. Your vessel's presence in this sector is suspicious." A pause. Then, "Captain, I'm going to explain something to you. I've been a trauma surgeon for 15 years. I've pulled people back from death when everyone else gave up. I've worked through disasters, wars, and plagues. Right now, there are children dying while you play your political games." The hospital ship suddenly launched a spread of small objects toward the Federation cruiser. Veltar shouted for defensive measures, but the objects weren't weapons. They were medical drones, each one broadcasting detailed telemetry from the plague-stricken colony. The bridge's main screen filled with images that made several crew members gasp. Overcrowded hospitals, patients of multiple species lying in corridors, medical staff working around the clock with inadequate supplies. "Those people have maybe 18 hours before the plague reaches critical mass," Dr. Reed's voice continued. "Every minute you delay us, more die. So I'll ask you once more. Will you let us pass?" Veltar stared at the images, his certainty wavering. but pride and duty held him firm. "I have my orders. Prepare for boarding." What happened next would be talked about in Federation medical circles for generations. The Nightingale didn't fire weapons or deploy shields. Instead, it opened its cargo bays and launched its entire complement of medical evacuation pods, hundreds of them, filling space between the two ships. Each pod broadcast the same message: Emergency Medical Beacon, Galactic Medical Accord Article 7. Any interference with active medical rescue operations constitutes a war crime. Veltar found himself surrounded by a field of protected medical vessels, each one making his ship's weapons legally unusable under galactic law. But more than that, he was surrounded by evidence of human medical capability that defied everything he thought he knew. The evacuation pods weren't just transport vehicles. They were mobile surgical suites, trauma centers, and intensive care units all in one. The technology was crude by galactic standards but effective in ways that Federation medicine, with all its elegant theory, somehow wasn't. "Captain," Ensign Morp whispered in awe, "their medical drones are performing surgery in zero gravity. They're doing procedures we can't even attempt outside a full hospital facility." Dr. Reed's voice returned, gentler now but no less determined. "Captain, we're not your enemy. We're just trying to do our job. Will you help us, or will you be responsible for explaining to the families why their loved ones died while we sat here talking?" For a long moment the bridge was silent except for the hum of life support systems. Then Commander Thale spoke quietly. "Sir, perhaps we could escort them to ensure they reach their destination safely." Veltar looked at the tactical display, at the cloud of medical pods that had turned his military superiority into irrelevance without firing a single shot. He thought about his own people and what he would want if they were the ones dying while bureaucrats argued over regulations. "Stand, down weapons," he ordered finally. "Signal the Nightingale that will provide escort to the Kepler colony." As the two ships set course together, Veltar couldn't help but reflect on what he'd learned. Humans weren't just Deathworlders because they came from a hostile planet. They were Deathworlders because they refused to accept death as inevitable, even when it meant staring down a Federation cruiser to save lives they'd never met. The galaxy, he realized, would never be quite the same.